What if the most famous faces in Hollywood built homes so bizarre that their own studios tried to hide them? From secret underground tunnels to rooms made entirely of mirrors, these mansions reveal the true personalities behind the perfect facades. Get ready to step inside the most shocking celebrity homes that Hollywood desperately wanted to keep secret. Number 19. Charlie Chaplin's Underground Spy Network. The comedy king wasn't just funny on screen, he was paranoid off it. Chaplin's Beverly Hills mansion looked ordinary from the street, but underneath lay a maze of secret tunnels that would make a Cold War spy jealous. The main passage connected to a hidden wine cellar, but neighbors whispered about an entire underground network that let Chaplin appear and disappear like magic during his famous dinner parties. During the McCarthy era, when his alleged communist sympathies made him a target, these tunnels became his lifeline. Staff members described him popping up in unexpected locations, delighting guests with theatrical entrances that seemed impossible. One tunnel reportedly led directly to his garage, allowing him to escape unwanted visitors completely unseen. The property also featured a miniature outdoor stage where Chaplin rehearsed his iconic routines before filming. Friends recalled watching the master perfect his famous walk in this private laboratory of physical comedy. Despite his enormous wealth, Chaplin kept the original 1920s decor throughout his residence, suggesting a man who never forgot his humble beginnings, even as he became one of the world's most famous entertainers. The mansion stood as proof that even comedy legends needed escape routes from the pressures of fame. Number 18. Mae West's all-white fantasy palace. Forget subtle. Mae West lived in a fever dream of white everything. Her Ravenswood apartment wasn't just decorated in white, it was an assault of ivory that required sunglasses indoors, white carpets, white walls, white furniture, and enough mirrors to make a funhouse jealous. This wasn't decorating. This was psychological warfare disguised as interior design. The centerpiece was her legendary seashell-shaped bed, a custom creation that became Hollywood folklore. Visitors described feeling like they'd entered heaven or a psychiatric ward, depending on their tolerance for sensory overload. West believed white represented purity and power, ironic considering her risque screen persona that scandalized 1930s audiences. Her apartment doubled as a shrine to her own career, with costumes, props, and photographs displayed like museum pieces. Everything was positioned for maximum drama, because Mae West didn't just live in her space, she performed in it constantly. The all-white theme extended to her wardrobe when at home, creating an otherworldly effect that left visitors either mesmerized or slightly nauseous. Critics called it the most narcissistic living space in Hollywood, but West didn't care. She'd created a world where she was simultaneously the star, the set designer, and the audience, proving that some personalities are too big for normal colored walls. Number 17. Howard Hughes's paranoid fortress of isolation. What started as a cutting-edge aviator's playground became a hermit's nightmare. Hughes's Beverly Hills estate evolved from innovation to insanity as his mental health deteriorated, transforming into a fortress that reflected his growing paranoia and obsessive-compulsive behavior. The property featured his own private airstrip, allowing him to avoid public spaces entirely. As Hughes's condition worsened, he had rooms sealed off, air filtration systems installed, and complex protocols established for anyone entering his living spaces. Former employees described hidden passageway that allowed Hughes to move through the house without being seen by staff, plus surveillance equipment to monitor activity throughout the property. The most disturbing feature was a sterile room where Hughes spent his final years, surrounded by medical equipment and bottles of distilled water. He allegedly wore tissue boxes as shoes and refused to cut his hair or nails, creating a gothic horror scene in what was once Hollywood's most technologically advanced home. Business associates who visited during his decline described a man who had everything but had lost himself completely. The estate's final incarnation included elaborate security measures that went far beyond typical celebrity privacy needs, revealing how fame and wealth couldn't protect Hughes from his own mind. His home became his prison, a cautionary tale about the price of absolute control. Number 16. Liberace's mirror-covered explosion. If Vegas had a baby with a jewelry store, it would look like Liberace's Sherman Oaks mansion. Every surface that could legally be covered in mirrors was covered in mirrors, creating a kaleidoscope effect that could trigger seizures. Gold dripped from every fixture, and marble floors were so polished you could slide across them in your socks. The piano-shaped bathtub was just the beginning of the madness. Greek statues posed dramatically in every corner, while crystal chandeliers hung in rooms that had no business housing chandeliers. His bedroom, decorated in black and gold with a canopy bed fit for royalty, looked like where a pharaoh would sleep if pharaohs wore sequins. From the outside, the house looked completely normal, a deliberate choice by Liberace who didn't want fans camping on his doorstep. But stepping inside was like entering an alternate dimension, where taste had been murdered and buried under layers of glitter and gold leaf. He built a mini stage in the living room for impromptu performances, because apparently dinner parties weren't entertaining enough unless they included a full concert. Guests never knew if they were coming for cocktails or a Vegas review, and honestly, with Liberace, there wasn't much difference between the two. Number 15. Jane Mansfield's Pink Palace of Excess. Pink wasn't just Jane Mansfield's favorite color, it was her religion. Every surface that could be painted pink was painted pink, creating a visual experience that was equal parts stunning and overwhelming. This wasn't decorating, this was a full-scale assault on the retinas that could be seen from space. The famous heart-shaped swimming pool featured a mosaic reading, "I love you, Janie," a tribute from her husband Mickey Hargitay. She sometimes filled the fountain with pink champagne for parties because regular champagne was apparently too boring for the Pink Palace. The pool area became a pilgrimage site for fans who couldn't believe anyone actually lived this way. Inside, pink carpeting, pink appliances, and even a pink toilet created an environment that was undeniably unique but somewhat overwhelming to inhabit daily. Guests described needing time to adjust their eyes, like entering a bubblegum-flavored alternate reality where normal colors had been banned. The mansion served as Mansfield's answer to constant comparisons with Marilyn Monroe. If she couldn't out-blonde Marilyn, she'd out-pink everyone in Hollywood. The strategy worked, creating a visual brand so distinctive that decades later, people still associate hot pink with Jane Mansfield's particular brand of 1950s glamour. Number 14. John Wayne's Secret Ranch Retreat. America's toughest cowboy found peace not in a Hollywood mansion, but in a secluded Encino ranch that revealed his surprisingly gentle side. The property didn't boast architectural grandeur, but it offered something more valuable to Wayne: authenticity and privacy away from his larger-than-life screen persona. Extensive stables and riding trails reflected Wayne's genuine love of horses and the outdoors. Friends noted he seemed most relaxed when riding across his property, away from the pressures of maintaining his tough guy image. The ranch became his sanctuary, especially after personal tragedies like the death of his beloved wife, Carol Lombard. Instead of hosting lavish Hollywood parties, Wayne preferred casual barbecues and intimate gatherings that revealed a more natural, unguarded version of the man who charmed millions on screen. Local residents recalled seeing him walking the property alone during difficult periods, finding solace in its tranquil atmosphere. The ranch represented Wayne's attempt to maintain connection to his pre-Hollywood roots and values. In a town built on image and artificiality, the property offered him a place where he could simply be himself without performance or pretense. It proved that even the king of Hollywood needed somewhere to hang up his spurs and just be human. Number 13. Elizabeth Taylor's Jewelry Vault Mansion. Elizabeth Taylor didn't just live in luxury, she lived inside a jewelry box. Her Beverly Hills home featured a custom-built vault that housed one of the world's most valuable private jewelry collections, including the famous Taylor Burton diamond. The vault was more secure than most banks, with biometric locks and climate control systems. The mansion's closet resembled a high-end department store, with custom racks, professional lighting, and her legendary shoe collection organized by color. Everything was designed for maximum glamour because Taylor approached her personal life with the same attention to detail as her movie roles. Her bedroom featured a bed surrounded by mirrors and dramatic lighting that could rival any film set. Taylor understood that her private life was as much a performance as her public one, and her home reflected that theatrical sensibility. Every room was designed to make her feel like the star she was. Friends described dinner parties that felt like movie premieres, with Taylor making grand entrances down her sweeping staircase, wearing different jewelry combinations that could fund small countries. She didn't just own beautiful things, she performed with them, turning everyday life into a continuous Hollywood production. The mansion served as both refuge and stage, allowing Taylor to live up to her own legend while providing the privacy she needed to be human. It was excess with purpose, proving that sometimes the most authentic thing you can do is fully embrace your own magnificence. Number 12. Frank Sinatra's Compound of Secrets. Sinatra's Palm Springs compound wasn't just a home, it was a fortress of discretion where Hollywood's elite came to play by different rules. The property featured multiple guest houses, each designed for maximum privacy, allowing famous visitors to come and go without crossing paths or creating awkward encounters. The main house centered around a massive bar area where Sinatra held court, conducting business and pleasure with equal intensity. The compound's design allowed for spontaneous parties that could escalate into legendary gatherings, with separate spaces for those who wanted to join the action and those who preferred to observe from a distance. Secret tunnels reportedly connected different buildings, allowing discreet movement throughout the property. Staff members were trained in absolute discretion, creating an environment where celebrities could relax completely without fear of exposure or judgment from the outside world. The property's most famous feature was its underground bunker, allegedly built during the Cold War for protection, but more often used for private poker games and intimate gatherings. Sinatra understood that true power came from creating spaces where powerful people could be vulnerable. The compound represented Sinatra's philosophy that privacy was the ultimate luxury. In an industry built on exposure, he created a place where stars could disappear completely, making it one of Hollywood's most valuable and dangerous social hubs. Number 11. Marlon Brando's Island Escape. Brando didn't just buy a house, he bought an entire Tahitian island to escape the Hollywood machine he both loved and despised. Tetiaroa became his ultimate retreat, a place where the world's greatest actor could disappear completely from the pressures of fame and the expectations of his legendary status. The island featured traditional Polynesian structures that Brando helped design, creating a living space that honored local culture while providing modern comfort. He became deeply involved in environmental conservation, using his wealth and influence to protect the island's ecosystem from development and exploitation. Brando's island life revealed a side of him that Hollywood never saw. The environmentalist, the cultural anthropologist, the man who preferred solitude to spotlight. He spent months at a time on Tetiaroa, learning local languages and customs, while raising his children in a completely different world from Hollywood. The property became a laboratory for sustainable living, decades before environmental consciousness became mainstream. Brando experimented with solar power, organic farming, and coral reef preservation, proving that his intelligence extended far beyond acting into practical problem solving. His island retreat represented the ultimate rejection of Hollywood excess, choosing natural beauty over manufactured glamour. It was Brando's final performance, disappearing completely while remaining one of the most famous people on Earth. Number 10. Cary Grant's House of Mysterious Elegance. Grant's Beverly Hills home was notable for what it didn't reveal, rather than what it displayed. Hidden behind understated gates and tall hedges, the house reflected Grant's preference for privacy and discretion, giving no external hint of the star power it contained. Inside, the decor struck a perfect balance between refinement and comfort, with carefully chosen pieces that reflected Grant's appreciation for craftsmanship without appearing showy. He preferred quality over quantity, surrounding himself with beautiful objects that had personal meaning rather than status symbols. The property featured intimate entertaining spaces, perfect for the small, carefully curated gatherings Grant preferred over massive Hollywood parties. He invited close friends for quiet evenings of conversation and private screenings, creating an atmosphere of sophisticated relaxation. Persistent rumors spoke of a hidden alcove behind library shelves, possibly providing access to a private study or simply representing Grant's appreciation for classic mystery and intrigue. Whether this feature actually existed remains unclear, adding to Grant's carefully cultivated mystique. Grant's approach to his home reflected his broader philosophy about fame and success. He understood that true sophistication came not from displaying wealth, but from living well, surrounding himself with beauty and comfort without resorting to gaudy displays of excess that characterize many celebrity homes. Number 9. Greta Garbo's Fortress of Solitude. Garbo's New York apartment was a temple to privacy, designed for someone who genuinely wanted to be alone. Every detail was carefully planned to minimize contact with the outside world while maximizing comfort and beauty within her personal sanctuary. Heavy drapes blocked out natural light and prying eyes, while antique furniture created an atmosphere of European elegance that transported visitors to another era. The apartment felt like a luxurious hiding place, perfectly suited to someone who had grown tired of being one of the world's most photographed women. Garbo rarely entertained, preferring the company of a few close friends who understood her need for discretion and privacy. When she did have guests, the atmosphere was intimate and sophisticated, with conversations ranging from art to philosophy rather than Hollywood gossip. The apartment's most striking feature was its absence of mirrors, unusual for someone whose face was famous worldwide. Garbo had grown weary of her own image and created a space where she could exist without constant reminders of her public persona. Her home represented the ultimate luxury for a global superstar, the ability to disappear completely. In an industry built on exposure and publicity, Garbo created a space where she could be invisible, proving that sometimes the most radical thing a celebrity can do is refuse to be seen. Number 8. Rudolph Valentino's Cursed Castle. Valentino's Falcon Lair was more than a home. It was a monument to unfulfilled dreams that became Hollywood's most infamous haunted mansion. Built to reflect his Italian heritage with sweeping gardens and medieval grandeur, the estate represented everything the silent film star had worked to achieve in America. Named after his film The Hooded Falcon, the property was Valentino's attempt to create a European palace in Beverly Hills. He poured his fortune and passion into every detail, designing it as a retreat where he could escape the pressures of being Hollywood's first major Latin lover. Tragically, Valentino barely had time to enjoy his dream home before dying unexpectedly at age 31. His sudden death turned the mansion into a shrine, with mourning fans leaving flowers at the gates and creating makeshift memorials to their lost idol. After Valentino's death, the mansion gained a reputation for being cursed. Multiple owners reported strange occurrences, and none seemed able to find happiness there. The property changed hands frequently, with each new owner eventually fleeing what they described as an oppressive atmosphere. The mansion was finally demolished in the early 2000s, but its legend persists. Falcon Lair remains a ghostly reminder of how quickly Hollywood dreams can turn to nightmares, and how the pursuit of the American dream can become a haunting obsession. Number 7. Jean Harlow's House of Tragedy. Harlow's Beverly Hills home seemed elegant and typical for a movie star, but it became infamous due to the mysterious death of her husband, Paul Byrne. The house gained notoriety that overshadowed even Harlow's platinum blonde bombshell status, becoming one of Hollywood's most whispered about crime scenes. The circumstances surrounding Byrne's death were suspicious enough to generate persistent rumors about what really happened that tragic night. Police reports revealed conflicting stories and unexplained evidence that kept the mystery alive, making the house a subject of morbid fascination for decades. Tragically, Harlow herself died at just 26 years old, adding another layer of sadness to the property's history. Her early death from kidney disease shocked Hollywood and contributed to the perception that the house might be cursed or unlucky for those who lived there. Subsequent owners reported strange occurrences and unsettling experiences, though whether these were genuinely supernatural or the result of suggestion and folklore remains unclear. The house's reputation grew over time, with each new story adding to its legendary status as a haunted Hollywood location. Beyond the tragic events, friends noted that Harlow filled her home with books and personal keepsakes that showed interest beyond her bombshell image. The house revealed glimpses of a more thoughtful and complex person than her public persona suggested, making her early death even more tragic. Number 6. Buster Keaton's elaborate playground. Keaton's Beverly Hills estate was a testament to silent film success and creative genius, featuring 20 rooms filled with surprises that reflected his inventive, comedic style. The property included extravagant features that seemed almost too good to be true. A Roman-style swimming pool, a trout stream running through the grounds, and an aviary filled with exotic birds. The most ingenious feature was a hidden bar that could transform into a private screening room, perfect for a filmmaker who wanted to entertain guests while showcasing his work. Friends described elaborate dinner parties followed by private screenings in this converted space, with Keaton serving as both host and projectionist. Keaton's inventive nature showed up throughout the house's design, with mechanical marvels and hidden compartments that delighted visitors. The estate became a playground for adult games and sophisticated entertainment, reflecting the prosperity that silent film stars could achieve in Hollywood's early days. The property represented the pinnacle of Keaton's career when he was considered one of the greatest comedic talents in cinema. However, it also foreshadowed difficult times ahead, as the lavish estate became increasingly expensive to maintain as his career prospects changed with the advent of talking pictures. The estate served as both celebration and warning about the fleeting nature of Hollywood success, showing how quickly fortunes could change in an industry built on public whim and technological advancement. Number 5. Gloria Swanson's Spanish Castle Drama. Swanson's Casa del Sol was every bit as dramatic as the star herself, featuring eye-catching Spanish Moorish architecture with arched doorways, detailed tiles, and a private chapel within the home. The mansion reflected her status as one of Hollywood's earliest true celebrities and her sophisticated worldly tastes. Swanson filled her house with exotic collectibles from her international travels, including Egyptian artifacts and unique antiques that created an atmosphere of cultured luxury. Auction records document an impressive collection that revealed her as a serious art collector, not just a movie star playing at sophistication. The mansion became famous for hosting parties that stood out even in a town built on spectacle. Guest lists preserved in Hollywood archives included some of the biggest names of the era, making Casa del Sol a crucial social hub during the golden age of silent films. Hidden passageways led to small private rooms used for discreet meetings during Hollywood's politically charged early years. One passage allegedly connected to a secret room where Swanson could retreat when overwhelmed by the constant attention her fame brought, showing the psychological toll of early celebrity. As Swanson's career faded with the transition to talking pictures, maintaining such a grand estate became increasingly difficult. The mansion's story paralleled her own trajectory from silent film royalty to struggling has-been, proving that in Hollywood, even castles could crumble. Number 4. Douglas Fairbanks' Adventure Compound. Fairbanks created a personal playground that matched his athletic screen persona, featuring elaborate landscaped gardens, a private lake, and a charming boathouse. The Santa Monica estate reflected his love of outdoor activities and adventure, designed as a series of connected recreational areas. The property's most intriguing feature was a hidden tunnel connecting the main house to the boathouse. Staff reported that Fairbanks used this passage either to avoid reporters or to make dramatic entrances for guests, behavior that perfectly matched his swashbuckling screen image. The estate included a modern gymnasium and tennis court where Fairbanks hosted spirited matches that attracted Hollywood's biggest stars. These weren't casual games, but serious competitions that revealed his intense competitive nature and need to excel in every physical activity he attempted. As his marriage to Mary Pickford ended and his movie popularity waned, Fairbanks spent increasing time at the ranch, using it as refuge from public scrutiny. The property became a symbol of his fading glory, a reminder of when he was Hollywood royalty rather than a relic of the silent era. Financial pressures eventually forced the sale of the ranch, which was subdivided for development. The loss of the estate symbolized the end of an era when individual creativity and athletic prowess could build such extraordinary personal kingdoms in Hollywood. Number 3. Harold Lloyd's Green Paradise. Lloyd's massive Green Acres estate perfectly reflected the ambition and creativity that made him one of silent comedy's biggest stars. The 44-room property on extensive Beverly Hills grounds showcased his success and playful nature in every carefully planned detail. The estate featured remarkable amenities including a 50-foot living room for entertaining, multiple fountains, and meticulously manicured gardens that required a full-time staff. Lloyd's creative spirit showed up throughout the property with a private zoo, a 9-hole golf course, and a secret room storing his extensive film memorabilia collection. These weren't just expensive toys, but representations of Lloyd's genuine interests and desire to push boundaries in every aspect of his life. The estate served as more than a home, functioning as a center for Hollywood's creative community where industry giants gathered for elaborate parties. However, as talking pictures transformed the industry, Lloyd found it increasingly difficult to maintain such an elaborate property. The transition to sound films didn't favor his particular physical comedy talents, and the estate became a financial burden rather than a symbol of success. By the 1970s, much of the original estate had been sold off to manage costs. While the main residence still stands as a historic landmark, the loss of the larger property symbolized the end of an era when individual creativity could build extraordinary personal kingdoms. Number 2. William Randolph Hearst's American Versailles. Hearst's San Simeon estate represents perhaps the most extravagant celebrity residence ever created. Built continuously from the 1910s through the 1940s across California's Central Coast, the scale defied belief even by Hollywood standards. With 165 rooms, extensive gardens, and 2 enormous swimming pools, including the famous Neptune pool with real gold tiles. Hearst spared no expense importing authentic architectural elements from Europe, including entire ceilings, wall panels, and sculptures carefully transported and reassembled. Art historians estimate the collection housed at the estate rivaled major museums in scope and quality, making it a private Louvre in the California hills. The legendary parties at San Simeon brought together the most powerful and famous people of Hearst's era, from Hollywood stars to world leaders. The guest list read like a who's who of 20th century influence, with the estate serving as an informal center of American cultural and political power. Financial pressures in the 1930s forced Hearst to sell portions of his art collection, but he managed to keep the estate itself. The property became a symbol of American ambition and excess, showing how unlimited wealth could create something approaching a personal kingdom. Today, San Simeon operates as a California State Historical Monument, allowing the public to experience what was once the most private and exclusive residence in America. It remains a testament to one man's vision of living like European royalty in the American West. Number 1. Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch. Jackson didn't just buy a house, he created an alternate reality. The 2,700-acre ranch became a full-blown amusement park, complete with Ferris wheel, train, petting zoo, bumper cars, and a movie theater. For a while it was magical, hosting celebrities and VIP guests for private tours that felt like visiting a real-life fairy tale. But behind the fun, the setup was intense. Security guards stationed everywhere, hidden rooms and alarm systems across the property created an atmosphere of fortress-like protection. The ranch became the center of global controversy in the mid-2000s when allegations surfaced, transforming the magical kingdom into a media nightmare. Jackson abandoned Neverland in 2005, and by 2008 it was shut down completely. The rides were removed, animals sent away, and the property sat abandoned for years like a ghost town of childhood dreams. Eventually renamed Sycamore Valley Ranch to escape its past, real estate agents still struggled to sell it. The transformation from magical wonderland to abandoned ruins tells the complete story of Michael Jackson's rise and fall. Neverland represented both his genius for creating joy and his tragic inability to find peace in the adult world he tried so desperately to escape. The ranch remains one of the most famous and controversial celebrity homes in history, a monument to how unlimited creativity and resources can create both magic and madness in equal measure. These mansions prove that unlimited money plus unchecked ego equals architectural insanity. Most got demolished or sold at massive losses because nobody else wanted to live inside someone's personal fantasy. Which of these bizarre celebrity homes shocked you the most? And here's the real question. If you had unlimited wealth, would you build something equally outrageous? Or do these stars prove that some dreams are better left unrealized?